I just sold every single one of my stocks. That's quite a dramatic way to start a video, and you're probably sat there thinking, this is just some exaggerated clickbait. And you know, you'd be right, but it is also true. As you can see, I sold every single individual stock that I own. So let me explain the context behind this, how it ties into my portfolio management strategy, and why I still feel optimistic about the future. Now, for anyone who's been investing recently, the context is kind of obvious. There is so much more economic uncertainty right now than there was just 6 months ago, primarily coming from tariffs imposed by the United States on the entire world. But in particular, the 145% tariffs levied by the US on China that are in place at the time of recording. That has effectively halted trade between the two countries, and the longer it drags on, the more economic pain is going to be felt. That naturally has a knock-on effect to businesses. If the economy stops economying, people won't be going out and spending money, growth will slow, and share prices will fall. The bigger problem is the whole uncertainty of it all, because I feel like one tweet can undo all of this pain and uncertainty. It could be Trump declaring a pause on tariffs with China, it could be Trump announcing a trade deal with China, and it could come any day. I mean, it could even happen between me recording this video and it being published. So I'm taking credit for the market rally by jinxing this, by the way. But at the time of editing, a trade deal of sorts between the US and China has been announced. The US will tariff goods from China at 30%, and China will tariff the US goods at 10%. This will happen for 90 days whilst a proper trade deal is negotiated. So there's still uncertainty, but it's a very good step in the right direction. But that uncertainty can go both ways. For example, out of nowhere, Trump recently announced 100% tariffs on movies from outside of the US, which, yeah, shows that anything and everything is in the firing line when it comes to tariffs. Now, whether you're a fan of his approach or not, the outcome is pretty simple. It feels like Trump is playing chicken with the global economy, ramping up tariffs to see who blinks first. And that creates a whole host of economic uncertainty, which did lead to me selling all of my stocks. But as you'll know if you've seen my videos or listened to our podcast over the years, I believe in being fully invested basically all the time. So you probably know that I haven't gone and sold everything. So what did I actually do? Well, I did sell all my individual stocks, but I only sold a small portion of them. Specifically, I decided to sell 5% of every individual stock in my portfolio, and I moved this cash into 2 global index funds, which invest in thousands of stocks from all across the world. These 2 global index funds make up my global pie on Trading 212, which is like a little DIY fund that I made that automatically splits my investments up between these 2 global index funds. 92% goes into the SPDR MSCI All Country World ETF, ticker symbol ACWI, and 8% goes into the iShares MSCI World Small Cap ETF, ticker symbol WLDS. Unsurprisingly, these global index funds tend to be less risky than the fast-growing, exciting individual companies that I invest in. This results in a pretty common trend. In general, when the broader market is doing well, my individual stocks rise quicker than my global index funds. But when the stock market is going badly, my individual stocks tend to fall further than my global index funds. So over time, I've been developing a bit more of a risk management strategy for my portfolio. If I think my individual stocks are broadly looking a bit overvalued, I will trim some and move the cash to my global pie. But if I think one or several individual stocks are looking attractive, I will happily sell some of my global pie in order to fund them. I've done this whole selling all my individual stocks thing in the past, and I do sometimes give myself a bit more control. For example, choosing whether or not to trim nothing, 5% or 10% of each individual stock. But this time around, I just did 5% across the board. To be honest, it's taken years to find a portfolio management strategy that has worked for me. And right now, this seems to be doing the job. Because one of my fundamental beliefs when it comes to investing is that nobody can predict the future. Sure, you can do company analysis and valuation models and so on. And I do that for all my investments, but it is so hard to consistently make the right calls. In fact, I've seen a lot of investors that I admire in recent months sell some of their investments to hold more in cash. Problem is, stocks have really rallied in the past 4 or 5 weeks, so they've missed out on those gains. And given the broader economic environment, with all the uncertainty, I don't blame them for not predicting this stock market rally. I don't even think it makes that much sense. But as an investor, it feels like you have to do something to manage this risk, even when you have a time horizon of more than a decade. So that's why I move some of my money from individual stocks to global index funds every now and again. I still remain fully invested in the stock market because I don't think I can predict if it's going to go up or down in the future. But I'm moving my money from riskier investments to less risky investments in order to try and protect my portfolio a bit more in these uncertain times. So how has that changed my portfolio? Well, first, a bit of context. A couple of years ago, I had no money in global index funds. It was all in individual stocks. And when these crashed after the pandemic stock market boom in 2022, my portfolio got hit hard. And I promised myself 2 things. 1, I would keep investing in the best businesses in my portfolio when prices were low. And 2, I would start to move more of my money into global index funds once the market started to recover. I followed both of these, and it has helped drag my portfolio from a terrible position to a fairly respectable position. Even so, I want global index funds to make up a larger percentage of my portfolio over the years, maybe like 50% within the next 5 to 10 years. And before I made this latest switch, my global pie accounted for about 22.5% of my portfolio. So how much is it now? About 26.5%, which, as you can see, isn't a huge change. And that's fine. I don't want huge changes. I still believe in all my individual stocks. Admittedly, some more than others. So this wasn't about losing faith in these companies or thinking that they are about to get decimated by economic uncertainty. It was part of a broader portfolio shift that is happening for me over the next decade, whilst also doing a bit of risk management. So I hope this video was interesting and useful. And yes, I apologize for the dramatic title, but honestly, there's a decent chance, I reckon, that if you clicked on this video, you might have been feeling the same. So I hope this video has been able to offer a little bit of calm in what is basically a sea of panic in the investing world right now, and shows it's possible to balance risk with reward whilst keeping a long-term mindset. Truth is, I made loads of mistakes when I first started investing. Not having a balanced portfolio was one of them. Investing in bad companies and hype stocks was another. And to be honest, this actually ended up costing me over £10,000 in losses compared to if I'd just invested in an index fund. And I don't really want anyone else to go through that. It's part of the reason why myself and Andrea launched our 6-week investing roadmap, designed to help you start your investing journey in a much better way than we did. I'll pop some of the details in the description of this video down below. Or you can head to our website www.stocksandsavings.com to find out more. We only run it a few times a year, and signups will be opening at the end of May. So if you want to join over 2,000 past students who have already started their investing journeys with confidence, then head to that link, join the waitlist, and you'll be the first to know once signups reopen. So there you have it. That's why I sold all my stocks this month. Or should I say, I sold 5% of all my individual investments and moved that money to global index funds. What does the future hold? Honestly, I've not got a clue at the minute. I mean, I don't have a clue at the best of times, but I really don't have a clue at the minute. But that isn't going to stop me from topping up my investments every single month. And if you want to keep up with my monthly investments over the years, then make sure to subscribe to this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.